to have you all on call. What we're covering today is the second part of the Map 2020 challenge, which is the map editing component. And so the idea is that up to now, quite a few organizations participating in Map 2020 have been collecting street level imagery in their chosen location. And then they're going to start using that street level imagery to edit OpenStreetMap and add things like various road related information that they're interested in, or it might be related to waste management, but OpenStreetMap tags related to their project. So the purpose of today is just to go through some of the ways in which you can add data to OpenStreetMap, and also talk about the way map editing is going to play into the second part of the Map 2020 project. So I'm just sharing my screen with you now, and we'll walk through the map editing section. So just to recap on what has happened thus far, how Mapillary data can be used, which is, I think, one of the most important aspects of this whole June project, editing in OpenStreetMap, how we can track contributions that are made to OpenStreetMap, how to submit results, because we've got less than, we're over halfway through June. So we've got only 2 weeks left to actually compile the results and submit them. And then any questions you have, this is a great time to have them raised. So by June 30th, we're expecting the various projects to submit their results, and the campaign will end. We'll review the results and select 2 projects to attend Heidelberg's OpenStreetMap Summit. So for those that haven't kind of been following the hashtag or having a look on Twitter about what's been going on in Map 2020 so far, we've had a few organizations that have been contributing already. And they're organizations like the one Erwin and Stephen are a part of in Ghana. They've got a strong OpenStreetMap community there that works with youth mappers and works with universities and works with the government. And they've been collecting street level imagery using an action camera that they've mounted to the front of their vehicle, and mainly for road related data. And so if you look at parts of Ghana, you can see that they've been making map edits already using the Map 2020 hashtag. And with that hashtag, we can then start to track, what kind of data have they been able to add. And so we see road information there, and then some points of interest as well. And then also another exciting location is in Erbil in Iraq, in the Kurdish part of Iraq. So there's a team there that has been collecting in the southeastern part of Erbil, and we'll look at that in a second. But they've done kind of exactly how we recommended with this project, where they chose a particular part of the city and they focused exclusively on that part of the city, getting dense capture, and then they're able to derive map data for that location. So yeah, really following the instructions laid out in that first webinar, which is fantastic. And so one thing that Erbil has done already is start to make use of Mapillary for organizations to derive map data. And the reason they're doing that is to be able to access some of the data that Mapillary has available. So we'll walk through that, but I want to show you why this is a necessary step, why it's important to actually have an organization. And so we'll just zoom into Iraq now, and I'll show you what they've actually collected as far as map data. This is their focus location at the moment. And you can see that if you click up here and select map data, object detections, and then traffic signs, we can see all the traffic signs that have been detected in the area. And this can be utilized within OpenStreetMap, and it can also be downloaded as a GeoJSON or a shapefile, and then used to edit map data in the area. So if we click on, say, this sign here, we can see that there is in fact a 30km/h sign there. And we can go and start to add that information to the road network in OpenStreetMap if the data is not already there. So all kinds of things like speed limit, where crosswalks are located, which is really important if your project is focused on urban mobility. turn restrictions, no entry, whether a road is one way, bicycle information. And then there's also point features as well, which you hopefully saw before, but this is a range of different types of assets that are relevant for someone either at a city council or trying to add data to OpenStreetMap. Things like where utility poles are located, where traffic signs, traffic lights are located. We have driveways. We have things like trash cans, which might be relevant if you're trying to map out the distribution, the waste collection process in your city. So there was a project, I think it was in, Brenna might remember, but it was a project in, I think it was Zimbabwe, or if I remember correctly, that was focused on reducing rubbish in the city. Do you remember the country it was? Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Uganda. But yeah, trying to work out where trash is piling up and just kind of the infrastructure around that. And if it's piling up due to a lack of infrastructure or due to other reasons. And so that's where the identification of rubbish bins can come in handy. So if we click on this one, we can see whether or not the rubbish bin has been correctly identified. Yeah, we can see right in the corner there, there's a bin. If we go to another, and let that load. So there's a bin there. So we can see whether there's rubbish in the areas where there's a lack of bins, or if there's a problem with the current bins and whether that's contributing to waste management collection. So the reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to be mindful of Mapillary for organizations and why that's relevant. We walked through creating an organization in the last session, so I don't want to go over that in too much detail again. But if you do want to download some of this data, which you hopefully do because that's part of this Map 2020 project, you need to create an organization, which is just done on your profile there. You need to add the relevant team members to your organization. You need to create a shape in your area of interest, and this should be a small focused area. And once you've done that, you can subscribe to map data. So this is something that we didn't show you last time, but it is very important. If you click on the subscribe to map data, a request will be sent through to our team, and we'll see that you're interested in map data, in this case in Loyang in Singapore, and we can make available to you things like the traffic signs that I just showed you or trash cans, and you can download that whenever you like. So what it means is that you can go out and collect imagery and then come back and say, okay, how many rubbish bins were in that area that I collected? And if you felt like you missed a road or the detections weren't good enough, you can drive it again, collect more imagery and improve the detections that are there. So it's a very efficient way to collect map data at scale in your chosen area. And the way to download that data is by creating an organization, requesting subscription, and then downloading it via the interface here. Once you've requested, you'll see that your download generates, and when it's ready, you'll be able to download it either as a shapefile or a GeoJSON file, which can be viewed in OpenStreetMap and GIS applications like QGIS and ArcGIS. And so once you've got that, you can start to do things like add amenities like fuel in OpenStreetMap. So you can have a petrol station and put down information that helps someone routing be able to find that. So we're just talking before about routing in different countries can vary in quality, but by adding these tags, you can help to improve the point of interest information, add road names as well if that information is available through the imagery. And then as far as the derived data that we were just talking about, this can be loaded into OpenStreetMap as a GeoJSON file. So we'll do that now. If we have one handy. I'm going to go to OpenStreetMap. I go to Erbil in Iraq. We'll go into edit mode. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to load in a GeoJSON file that I have downloaded. So this is something that I've got through this process I just mentioned here. There's the shape in Iraq. We've requested access to data. We've downloaded that data as a GeoJSON file that you see here. And then I have that file here. So if you look at the code, you can view it in a text editor and see that it's got all the names of features and where they've been detected. Am I looking at the right one? It should have the name of features and where they've been detected. I might have to show you guys another one. We'll see if this one loads. And to load in a GeoJSON file that you've downloaded, you got to go custom map data here. And we can find our GeoJSON. So this is showing our area of interest. And then if we had a shape for this, we could download the features. So we don't have that map data now, but what I'll show you is another one that we have. So this is a list of detections in Australia. It's a location where we've identified various features. And if you hover over, you can see that this is a warning for traffic signs. Same with this one, information, general information. So you can visualize all these. Now in OpenStreetMap, if you're interested in traffic signs in particular, you're better just to load this layer, yeah, which shows you where they're located as well. But if you have something like a point feature, which is what we're showing just before in this example here, like something like a trash can, you want to download that as a GeoJSON file and load it in here, like I mentioned, with the custom map data. And then you can do things like view that detection and see if the metadata is in the road itself. So this road has speed limit information, so that's good. We'll see if there's any map data that's not there already. So it looks like there's a potential bus stop here. Bus stop ahead, so we've seen that sign. So you could go through this imagery, and when you see a bus stop, add it in here. Might be off the scope. Let's see if it's here. Yeah, so there's no bus stop information here. So this is something that we should try and find if we've got a bit of time and add that to the map. You could also, if we had Mapillary detections as well, you could see if there's other information that might help. So you could try something like bench. And if you're in an area with Mapillary, like if we were to click this imagery, for example, it loads up Mapillary, and then you can try other detections. So often like a bus stop will have a bench. So that might be another way to try and find the bus stops in this area. So we'll try that here. I don't even know if these bus stops have benches, but it's always worth like seeing different types of data and whether they help you find the OpenStreetMap feature you're looking for. So I'm going to remove all of those, and that'll show us every point feature in the area. So we've only got some utility poles and some just general poles. So nothing that we can add to OpenStreetMap in this area. We'll try, I'll see if I've got another GeoJSON file that I can show you guys. Here we go, okay, points. So we're nearby, but now we're looking at points instead of traffic signs. And again, if you load these in and you hover over them, you can see on the side, it tells you what they are. So you've got a utility pole, we have a support pole, we have more utility poles. And this might be relevant for your project. It just depends on kind of what you've stated your humanitarian focus to be. A lot of poles in the area. So you could actually filter these out if you wanted to. There's a store sign as well. So like we were just talking before about point of interest information. So if you're trying to find like shop names, that might be an easy way. Advertisements as well. So you could then go and click and see which image that has been identified in. More store signs. There's a range of different information here. More advertisements. Let's find this banner, for example, and see if that is visible in one of these images. So we're not exactly sure. We can see that a banner has been detected there, but we're not sure which one they're referring to. So if we're not sure, we can open something like that from mapillary.com itself, and then go up here to map data, object detections again, points again, delete the stuff that pre-populates there and just type in banner, and we can see, okay, that's the banner. And if we click on that, it's referring to that storefront there, which is Bairnsdale Automotive or something. We can see there's 3 images in which it's been detected, so we can see if there's a better one of the 3. So I might try, say that one. Okay, so this is actually referring to those flags on the side there. So if we wanted to like add that to OpenStreetMap, we could do that. This is the, I think that's it there. We've got utility poles, we've got the traffic signs as well. And if you zoom out, you'll see all the other point features as well. So this is just banners, but if we remove that, you're going to see that all these features that were identified and that we downloaded and can view as these little pink circles here, they're also available as point features on Mapillary. So if I zoom in with point features enabled, those will come up again. So this particular person we were working with here, they were using manholes, looking at manholes and trying to work out where the road might be accessed for different maintenance providers. There's also benches as well that we were trying to find before for that bus stop. We could add those to OpenStreetMap. So if you're interested in adding this bench to OpenStreetMap, for example, just so that people would be able to use it and see it in their OSM apps, you would go to 3 dots down here, advanced options, edit via ID or your chosen editing tool. We can activate that imagery layer. Just make sure that we have the right image. So we see that it's in between these 2 main roads here. So we know it's somewhere in here. Now we can try and find it again. I think it was just back. Okay, there's a bench that we could add, and there's a bin. So these would be available as point features. So we could download it there, or we can just add it manually ourselves here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up the top and go point. And I'm going to click where I think it's roughly located. And what we usually do is we try some different satellite layers to see if it becomes more discernible from the satellite imagery. So in this case, it looks like maybe digital, globe. Might be Bing that's the most useful here. I'll have a look at Esri as well. I'd say it was Bing that's the most helpful. So I'm going to add it just to the right ahead of where we've seen it in the image. So about there. And then you can say bench. And I would say that that seats about 4 people, made of wood. Color is, we'll call that brown for simplicity's sake. And then we can tick that. And if there was a bunch of benches, we could just copy them and paste them like this. We're going to undo that though, there's only one. We know there's also a bin right next to it as well. So we can go point again, add the bin, which is called a waste basket in OpenStreetMap. Looks like it's got it's made of steel. We don't know the collection times, so I might just add it like that, and that'll appear on different apps that people use. And we can save that. And what we want to do is make it clear that we've used street level imagery, we've used Mapillary, and we'll want to use the hashtag Map 2020 if we're doing this for Map 2020. And then what that means is that we can track this in your projects. So for every edit that you make, you want to have Map 2020 street level imagery as a source, and that'll allow us to score you relative to others that are contributing around the world. So we're not going to use that now because we've just been adding in Melbourne. It's not related to Map 2020, but make sure you do that for your projects and add a description. In this case, added bins and bench using Mapillary imagery. And then we upload that change and it'll be live on OpenStreetMap in a few minutes. So this is what people are going to be doing between now and the end of June, using the imagery they've collected already. If you haven't collected imagery already, you're going to have to use existing imagery in your area, or you're going to have to collect some as soon as possible to make sure you've actually got source data to work with. And then follow the steps here to actually be able to download your data and view it within OpenStreetMap. And then once you've started making edits, you're going to see a leaderboard at this URL, which we'll send out, and that'll track different edits that you make. So if you're planning to edit things like bicycle parking or benches, just let us know that kind of what you're working on, and then we'll start to be able to track all of this on a leaderboard, as long as you're using that hashtag that I showed you earlier. So we'll send out instructions on that, but the most important thing is that you're using the hashtag Map 2020 and source equal to Mapillary as you add features. And then once you've finished that and you've kind of gone through June, we're going to send out instructions for a 1-page PDF that everyone will need to complete, where you detail your project, the organization, who was participating, an outline of your challenge. So recapping what you stated when you submitted your expression of interest in end of May, and then how you've worked on addressing that challenge, how mapping was an important component, how street level imagery was used, how mapping was used in OpenStreetMap, the outcome, and why these steps were necessary to achieve your goal, and then kind of how you're seeing this project proceed in the future. What are you going to do to make sure that the efforts you've completed in June will continue on into the future? So that's a pretty simple, I think, next steps for the challenge. Were there questions at this stage? No questions. That's good. Hopefully it was pretty clear then. Excellent. Well, we'll send this out as an email probably Wednesday or Thursday, I would have a go editing an OpenStreetMap over the next like 48 hours if you can, just adding that hashtag and letting us know like, hey Ed, I've added these features. I'm just playing around, making sure that I can use the data downloaded from Mapillary, and letting us know if you have any issues with the actual process. But hopefully it's pretty clear otherwise. Awesome. Brenna's going to record this, or she already has rather, so she'll send that out as well as a link that you can view again if there was anything unclear. But have a good night, everyone. Final chance for questions, otherwise we'll wrap it up. Brenna, anything on your end as well before we close it down?
All right, thank you very much. Sorry for joining very late. I was moving, I was going somewhere. I don't know if you can get me.
Yeah, we can get you.
Hello. All right, thank you very much. Sorry, for quite a week I was closing to my university, so I was busy preparing to go for the session just for 2 weeks. So probably we'll be going for mapping next week. So so far so good. We have not been facing any challenge. Yeah, I'll just would love to watch the video, the things that I've missed since the beginning of the webinar. So there, maybe I can ask the questions if I have by email. Yeah. All right.
Excellent. Thanks for the update, Chamba. Yeah, and make sure like the next week is productive, because there's only, if you look at the calendar, we've got the remainder of this week and then next week,
Yes.
and then it's over. So
yeah,
definitely time to collect imagery.
Yeah,
so it's a very
true.
tight timeline. I know it's not much time to do everything, but we're trying to get it done, because what happens is at the end of June, we'll select the 2 projects, and then we need to sort out visas for Germany. And we're told it takes, up to 2 months for visas. And then the conference is in September. So there's not much time to sort out visas and flights and accommodation.
Yeah, I understand.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day, and be in touch via email.
Thank you.